Welcome to chapter 20. Here we go. Hat sich der Nachbar vielleicht den ganzen Tag vor Ihnen versteckt? That's quite a mouthful, right? So it starts with a verb, which means this is a yes or no question. You see the question mark confirming at least it's a question. And hat, you remember, has always a partner, at least in 99% of the cases. So we have something that sticks. So he has stuck himself in the wrong place, and if you stuck yourself in the wrong place, sich verstecken means to hide. Yeah? And the wrong place only because I can't find you where I expect you to be. So has himself, the neighbor, you know, maybe I feel lighter after doing this. Yeah, maybe. The ganz means whole, I keep forgetting this, complete, whole, day, in front or before, and Ihnen is a lowercase I, so this is tricky. It's not him, because we have more than one person, so that neighbor, if the neighbor hid, it hid before them. Ihnen is a bit tricky, yeah? So it's related to another person, so it's not that crucial. So, did the bloody neighbor hide from Simone and Stefan? Entschlossen schnappt, Schnie, Schna, Schnappi, sie sich einen Regenschirm, Ronald Reagan, Schirm, shrimp, I have a lot of shrimp on my screen, so the screen that protects you from the rain is an umbrella. There's two sentences. Oh, good. So she snaps, she grabs an umbrella, and she does so in a specific manner, which is an entschlossen manner. Here, end is maybe this, and schließen, Schloss means a lock, so in an unlocked manner. No, actually not unlocked, that's not right. Entschlossen has to do with she locks in and then she goes for it. So entschlossen means decisive. Yeah, sich entschließen. Yeah, now somehow. So the logic I can see here is indeed, as I said, die, which means the opposite. Yeah. So to lock, schließen means to tie up, to close down, and entschließen is to let go of this lock and make that decision. That is a nice idea. Yeah. The same here. Sich entschuldigen. You know, Schuld, we had this just a lesson ago or two, which means the guilt. So if you entschuldigen sich, you actually apologize. And the in English, Latin, means the opposite, an anti, not. Yeah? So it's get rid of the guilt. That's what entschuldigen is. Yeah. So, decisive, she gets that umbrella and geht nach draußen and goes nach, you might already know, towards something, and nach draußen is a fixed expression, and you have the word aus here or außen, which is the opposite of drinnen, and inside, outside. Aus, out, außen, outside. Draußen, well, learn it as a fixed expression. I really had draußen and drinnen. We also have drüber und drunter, or actually drunter und drüber is a fixed expression. Ja, drunter und drüber. Es geht drunter und drüber. That means there is chaos. Yeah, it goes above and below, or below and above. Haywire, yeah, I wanted to say that, but it's not that close. So draußen, er geht nach außen wouldn't work. Draußen really means outside, to go outside and to go inside. I don't know where the dr comes from. Bit poetic, the language of this chapter. Here we have two sentences. I can see that with a comma, and if I see two verbs, in a row or separate by a comma, I know it's two sentences. So beim Haus, and bei means at, bei Sony, at Sony, bei dem, at the house of Mr. Fischer, and this is the past form. So ankommen means arrive, to come there. So having, in English you would say having arrived at the house of Mr. Fischer, but in German we say beim Haus von Herrn Fischer angekommen. At the house of Mr. Fischer arrived. What does she do? She klingeln, klingeln, kling. Kling, you know the Klingons, yeah? If you haven't slept in the last 40 years, and the Klingons, they love to ring bells, yeah? So klingeln, the bell is ringing, and your telephone can klingel as well, so it can ring. She, and Sturm, storm, same, just a different vowel in between. So when she arrives there, she is ringing like hell. To ring the bell like in a storm. Not sure how you say that in English, but you get the idea. She doesn't stop. Sie heard, and we have our old friend the Ohr here, the H-E-R, or the Ohr, the ear, which means to hear. She hears Geräusche in the house. So GE, a capital GE, is always agglomerating things. This is for a group of things, like Gebirge comes from Berg, the mountain. But the Gebirge, the Berg is the mountain, the Berg, Spielberg, play mountain, but as a Gebirge, it's a kind of many mountains. For example, the Alps, yeah, Rocky Mountains. Yeah, it's a, how do you call this? It's a Gebirge in German. And now we have Geräusche, so it's an agglomeration of Rausch. Rausch. And Rauschen is yeah, it's a, how do you call this? A humming, a rustling, a rushing. That's a lovely word. Rushing, of course. Yeah, to rush. It's so it's a lot of rushing. So she hears someone making noises. Rush, Geräusch in German is actually noise, which is a group of rushing. Einige Sekunden später. You get this, right? Oh, well, actually, let's take a look at that. Einige. Well, yeah, how do we do this? Well, einig on its own would be united. So if something is united, it's kind of a group or a couple of seconds. Yeah, with an O, I know. Späti, you remember the little shops in Berlin? Yeah. Don't spit in front of the doors, you will not get inside then. So später means later. Yeah, and the ER gives away it's a comparative. So a couple of seconds later, G gets a haircut, says an, same function as in German, as in English. Freund is a friend, lich is Lee, Stimme, tricky one, has been a while back. You're listening to my Stimme right now, so that's the voice. Durch, by now you know, the, and we have schließen again, yeah, geschlossen, and you know that was locked, door. And you see when we use geschlossen not as a verb but as an adjective, which you can see by the ending and in front of a capitalized word, it gets an ending like any other adjective, like big, small, green, yellow, and new, old. Yeah, so an unfriendly voice says, ich möchte nichts kaufen, Und ich möchte auch nicht den Zeugen Jehovas beitreten. And you see here, we actually can also leave out the verb if it's still the same person. Yeah, we are very efficient in German, but I put them here. So möchte, we talked about, I hope you remember this, very important. I would like not, nicht etwas, which means nicht, no thing. Yeah? Nichts is no thing. It's this little s that makes a difference because it's short for etwas. And kaufen, remember Kofi Annan really likes to go shopping to buy something. Und ich möchte auch nicht den Zeugen Jehovas beitreten. Let's take a look at this. Ich möchte, we had here, which is why we don't need to repeat it. So, and I wouldn't like auch, same in English, well, the first letter is the same in English, also not the. And Zeuge is a bit difficult. The Z in German often turns into a T, and we have two letters in common. So, Zeugnis is a testimony, and someone who testifies is, of course, a witness. But this is the connection. So, the witness of Jehovah, Jehovah's Witnesses, and beitreten, bei usually means come close or close to something, and treten means to step, as you might remember. So someone steps close to you, that simply means that they join you. So I don't want to join the Jehovah's Witnesses. Hauen Sie gefälligst ab, that's not a very gentle form. You see the exclamation mark doesn't necessarily have to be here, but it emphasizes this order. It's a command actually, yeah. Or we call this imperative, which you might know from emperor. And you see emperor, the same word, yeah? Or not the same word, but the same root. So hauen usually means to hit someone, but abhauen, to hit off or to cut off. So someone should cut off simply means piss off. Yeah, I would say that's appropriate here. So it's a formal form of piss you off. Yeah, you sir, piss off. And gefälligst means please, but not in a nice way. It is yeah, ein Gefallen is a favor. Interestingly, so usually etwas and Gefallen on its own is to please, yeah, but it's used in a very interesting way. Das gefällt mir, that pleases me, and this is where it all comes from. But in this context, it is not a nice please. It's really an emphasis on that he wants to get rid of her. Aber Simone bleibt cool. There's not much to say here. Bleiben. Oh, it looks a little bit like believe. Yeah, I hope you can see this. We have all the letters here. Yeah, but it is of course not related to it. But if you believe someone, you stay with them. So bleiben means to stay. She stays cool. Here a few simple sentences for relaxation. Guten Abend, Herr Fischer. Not much to say here. Mein Name ist Simone Tesch. Also should be no trouble for you anymore. Es geht die Möpse von Herrn Merkel. So here we have three words that are usually used together. Es geht, it literally goes around the pugs of Mr. Merkel. So of course that means it's about the pugs. And it goes around, so imagine whenever Germans talk about something and we'll say it's about this, they circle around the topic, the matter. Yeah? It goes around, they go around and around. So es geht it's always es geht it's about. Die Hunde sind verschwunden. The hounds did something, we had verschwunden before, but the best or closest word in English is actually to dwindle. And you see here how it's connected. The W, wund, schwunden. So how the rest came to life, I don't know. They dwindled, they disappeared. Yeah? That's the past form of verschwinden. That's actually the original form, verschwinden. in, and you see here it's even closer to dwindle. The dogs have disappeared. Ich suche sie gerade, you should not be a problem. Yeah, I'm looking for them at the moment. Darf ich Ihnen vielleicht ein paar Fragen stellen? The word darf, the long version is to be allowed, and that's something I recommend you remember. But the short version would be may. Yeah. So may I, you, sir, and you remember, no, the capital I always means a formal address. Vielleicht, maybe I feel lighter after this exercise. A pair of, and a pair of is a couple of course, questions and stellen, to pose, like in English. Aber die Tür bleibt verschlossen. Here we have our bleibt again, just a nice repetition, and it looks like believe, and if you believe someone, you stay with them. And the door stays. Well, maybe it's related to shut, but here it is locked or closed. We don't know whether he has locked the door or it's just closed. Yeah. And the interesting thing is we have a word Schloss, which means the lock, or it means the castle, like in Schloss Neuschwanstein. And Neuschwanstein, God knows why, there is a new swan in town that loves stones. Yeah? There's a stone which possibly some swans hang out at, and or that attracted new swans. I haven't looked up the history of the name. It was chapter 20. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you in chapter 21.